For the ECR is Rihards Kols.
Thank you, Commissioner, really for outlining the challenges. But of course, with the US, it's very much what Ms. Zhovko already mentioned. Does the current Commission, particularly the responsible for trade, has already established the channels of communication with the Trump administration? If not, why? Or if there is any signals from the US as well to engage? I know there are still ongoing hearings in the Congress on the certain positions, but since EU is one of the major trading partners for the US, it will be something that we can encourage from our side as soon as possible to establish these channels of communications to avoid any necessary unavoided potential tariffs that everyone is anticipating, the tariff wars. This said, of course, it reminds me of 2016. Trump's first presidency, and we saw what happened with TTIP and what happened with NAFTA. So in the end, it is the USMCA right now. But on the same time, we saw what happened with CETA. We managed to have a deal with Canada, and that opened the doors as well, kind of securing on retaliations under Trump's administration or not. Why I'm saying this with Mexico, and this is also with another topic we're going to discuss, this could be something that not engaging, as Mr. Chair said, with Japan, Korea, which is right, but actually engaging more actively with Canada and Mexico, because I cannot imagine U.S. isolating instantly with its immediate neighbors and putting the massive tariffs on them. So that is somewhat for us a gateway as well if we are targeted with tariffs, which I hope will not happen. Thank you.
Mr. Kohl was asking about how this is affecting our relationship with other countries, and indeed I can tell you that since the last autumn I had a rather big queue, if I can say it in a positive sense, of the partners who would like to accelerate our trade negotiations, who would like to proceed with the conclusions. I was just referring to the partners from ASEAN, to the partners from Latin America. I met almost all GCC trade ministers when I was in Davos. So we are now kind of going through what are the most promising, what are the most advanced negotiations. So hopefully, even in this first semester, I could come back to you and to debrief you about how we are advancing, because I think Europe is now a very lucrative partner. They see us as a stable, reliable, predictable partner, biggest trading bloc on the planet, consumers with unprecedented purchasing power, and this is something which I think we can clearly profit from.
A lot, Mr. Kols for the ECR.
Yes, thank you. On Mexico, as we all read, the negotiations have been concluded 17th of January. So the question is, what is next? What is the timetable? How it's proceed? But I wanted to specifically focus on two items: labor, forced and child labor in Mexico. How is this addressed to the FTA as well? We have done that as EU in regards to other FTAs. Still in Mexico, the rates are still very high, particularly what do we do with items that are exported to EU, where the child labor or the forced labor is being used. And on top of this, organized crime, not only corruption, but organized crime in Mexico is a big issue. And with this, I would like to ask, since the FTA as well allows the public procurement access to in the EU for the Mexico companies and etc. Just recently, our strategic partner, President Trump, designated all the cartels as the foreign terrorist organizations. How will and what are the tools for EU member states to verify that one or another company that is running in public procurement is in no way connected to any cartel? Because foreign terrorist organization, by U.S. standards, that is a big issue. That is the sanctions and whatnot. And is that being a topic as well for the latest negotiations with Mexico? Thank you.
Chapter, and which is covering also the labor rights and so on and so forth. I believe that we cover this quite extensively in our negotiations. There are binding commitments on labor rights based on international labor organizations, all key ILO conventions. There is also commitment to effectively implement the Paris Agreement on climate change, Convention on Biological Diversity, and all international environmental agreements that the EU and Mexico have respectively ratified. And there are also obligations to promote responsible business contacts in accordance with this UN, ILO, and OECD principle. If it comes to the labor rights, the EU and Mexico shall effectively implement the fundamental conventions of the International Labour Organization on child and forced labour, freedom of associations and non-discrimination, as well as all other conventions that the EU and Mexico have respectively ratified. So I think that you see that we kind of paid a lot of attention to this very important aspect of the agreement, and I think that we managed to cover it quite well. There have been questions linked with corruption. So here I'm also very gladly reporting that we have also anti-corruption chapter in the agreement, which is unique, and I think it also reflects the mandate we get from you, from our member states, and I don't think that we have any other agreement with such a chapter inside. So I just hope that this is also convincing argument for you, and of course to check who is behind, some kind of trade and company activities. I mean, I think we went as far as we could in a global agreement, and for other things, I think that the political relationship we are consolidating through this agreement would also lead to the increased cooperation with law enforcement authorities, with intelligence communities, and with everybody else, because in this case we are absolutely in the same boat.